today you're here to talk about a situation you had with a now state representative here in Texas,
Correct.
right? And so I want to talk about that, but I think people need to know a little bit about you. So who you are, how long you've lived in Texas and what you do.
So first and foremost, I'm a mother to 4 beautiful children, so that naturally takes up most of my time. But in my spare time these days, I am a political news curator.
Okay, so you follow the news very closely and then you curate that for an audience.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Got it.
I have been in Texas most of my life. I've spent a significant amount of time in California, and a lot of my time was also spent in the Fort Hood area during my service time.
Let's get into your story. When did you first meet this state rep?
So I met him when I began my journey in exotic dancing. I was 18 at the time. I had a young child.
Sorry to interrupt. You were above 18 or you were 18?
I was 18.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. And you had a child, you said?
I had a young child, and so I did what any other mother would need to do. I was a very young mother, and I started my journey in exotic dancing. And with that comes a lot of fight, a lot of struggle. So naturally, I was pleasantly surprised when I met Giovanni. He was what appeared to be a very straight-laced businessman and undoubtedly a breath of fresh air.
Okay, and what approximately what year was this that you guys met?
Without giving away my age too much, 2004.
Around that time?
Yeah.
Okay. And so you met because he was a customer there?
He was.
And was he like a regular? Is this sometime he just like stopped in once or twice, or?
So I met him upon his very first time. He caught my attention because it was a Monday during lunch. So as you can imagine, there weren't very many other people there. And what drew my attention to him was the very professional button-down shirt, the slacks, the whole charade.
About how many times did he come in before you guys engaged into like an actual like sort of relationship?
It was the first time. He has a very magnetizing personality, though there's also a lot of duality to him. But over the course of a few months, he would come in every couple of weeks, and of course, our relationship developed from there.
Okay, and then tell me about that relationship. When you say that, like, what do you mean? Like, is it just like, was he coming into work, or did it go past that?
The first few times it was coming into work. After, I would say, his 3rd or 4th time, we had exchanged contact information, which obviously led to us having deeper discussions.
So Gio was coming in regularly to your work. What were the kind of discussions you guys were having?
We discussed a lot. We discussed family, significant others, the struggles of life, hardships, but also the good times. I believe this is what created our bond together. He was this struggling businessman, stuck inside at the time what you would probably consider a closet in South Lake. He confessed his struggles in marriage and how this was fulfilling some of those voids.
Okay, and now you're kind of alleging here that relationship evolved outside of work, or began to evolve outside of work. Can you tell me about that?
Absolutely. I would say over the course of time, we became close friends. He was magnetizing. He was outwardly genuine and kind. He made me feel like I was more than just my body, that I was a natural person. He was the one who reminded me to keep my head up. He was the one that encouraged me. He pushed me to succeed more in life.
So that relationship with him sounds pretty positive. What else was part of that relationship? Was it just talking, or did it evolve into something more?
I would have to say that our one-on-one personal meetups did lead to a sense of trust and security within one another, and thus created a closer, more intimate bond. We had many one-on-ones. He honestly wasn't comfortable meeting at the club. I don't think he hides from anyone that he likes to hide. He likes his privacy. He likes the security of privacy. But during these one-on-one meetups, I think it was inevitable that we created a close bond, an intimate bond.
Okay, and tell me about these meetups. Where did these happen?
They started initially at his office in South Lake.
Okay, and then were there any other places besides the office?
Once we had developed a level of trust and security in each other, we had started meeting up at hotels.
Got it. Okay. And how are these meetups arranged? Is it through phone calls, through text, through email?
Oh, Giovanni did not like phone calls. He actually insisted that we email, but it was never his email. It was always an email under a woman's name.
Huh, okay. So he used, for lack of a better term, like a burner email account.
Burner email. He did have my phone number,
Mhm.
and he was able to send messages to my phone from emails.
Okay. Do you still have those emails?
I do.
Got it. Okay. All right. And so this was arranged over email. How often did these meetups happen?
In the beginning, I would say that they happened approximately once a month, and due to his internal paranoia and need for privacy, I think over time his own worst enemy is paranoia. So he became increasingly worried that he would be discovered in some negative aspect.
Okay, got it. I guess that's why he used the burner accounts or the fake email accounts.
Exactly. And, to be honest, his level of paranoia got to the extent of, we moved it to about every 6 months. And I would say a handful of those times, it was not uncommon for him to stand me up.
Okay, so sometimes he would arrange something with you and then just not show up?
Right. Though he would rectify my bitterness. He made sure that it was never a waste on my end, and therefore he would leave these gifts.
Okay, so tell me about these gifts. What are these gifts?
So, to be perfectly honest, the gifts were the money. It was the money that he would exchange with me during these meetups. There was one instance where he was not able to meet up with me, and it was probably one of the more stressful meetups because I wasn't being given an address, I wasn't being given a specific time. It was one email after another saying, I'll let you know, keep your afternoon open. So finally I received an email saying, here's an address, arrived there at, I'm not sure what time it was, but it was in the afternoon. I arrived and completely, utterly confused because it was a Chuck E. Cheese. And I thought, surely this is the incorrect address. So I emailed him back and he told me to go to the back of the building, and next to the dumpster there would be a rubber mat. Look under it. And under this rubber mat was an envelope with money.
Okay, and did you guys end up meeting after that, or it was just something to compensate you for your time, or what was that?
We probably didn't see each other for another 6 months. He and I both had the issue with, as we called it, falling off the face of the planet. There were times where he got to a level of being uncomfortable, as did I.
What was causing that uncomfortableness?
It was hard for me as a woman to accept that I was with another woman's husband.
So you've been to his home?
I have.
Oh, approximately how many times?
Only 1 or 2.
Okay, got it. And was his wife or family home when you had been to his home?
The first time I went, she and the girls had actually left to go visit family.
Okay, and you mentioned another time. Was she there that time?
No, I've never met her, and I have respectfully no desire to meet her. I still carry resentment about betraying another woman. Even though he claims that she knew everything, my loyalty to women can't be bought.
Got it. Okay. And how this went on for about approximately how many years? You said you guys met in 2004. How long did it last until after you met?
I would say 17, 18 years.
17 years.
17 years.
Wow. Okay. What caused them to stop?
There were conversations that we had that, of course, the conversations between how this was not only fulfillment for him and his wife's intimacy, as that was lacking, according to him, but the fantasies went beyond taking our experience together with him and his wife into a much darker and more sinister area. It went on to, for example, he told me about a bake sale that his daughters were participating in for the neighborhood. And this was one of the very few times that he was comfortable being on the phone with me. And he explained to me how immensely attractive the idea would be to ejaculate into the cookie batter, to know that all of the children in the neighborhood, specifically girls, would be consuming his semen. Now, while this was a lot for me to take in, this was hard for me to absorb as a friend, as someone I'd been intimate with. And I think it was also this that allowed me to overlook this. It allowed me to almost deny the seriousness of the situation. I wanted so much to believe it wasn't true. I wanted to believe maybe he was just having a bad moment or a phase. I think each and every one of us go through an era in our lives where we don't make the best decisions, or we're attracted to something that's more taboo, but we would never take part. But something internally, instinctually, told me he wasn't being dishonest about this fantasy. It really caused me to take a step back.
And so was this like the trigger moment where you were just like, okay, I'm done with this relationship?
As much as it should have been, and I would like to admit it wasn't. I think there was such a strong bond, there was such a stronghold between us. This was a man who not only mentored me, but he was the one I contacted in some of the hardest moments in my life. I leaned on this man. I shared my heart with this man. I trusted him.
Got it. So then what, forgive me, I'm going to press you a little bit. What was the trigger then that ended this? Like, how did this all stop?
So when we first met, he was, like I said, he was working in a very, very tiny office in South Lake. He was nothing more than an IT guy, doing software security. He had expressed to me his desire to enter the political arena. And of course, as a friend, I was so very proud of him. I know that's a very difficult profession to work your way into. During this time, it created the space between myself and him as his new profession took up a lot of his time. I was also entering into a serious relationship. But during this time, I was able to step back and truly view him from a distance, to have that emotional and mental separation, that physical separation. There was no longer that bond between us. And this was, I would say, the catalyst for me being able to see him more clearly without the rose-colored glasses.
So the bake sale incident plus him getting into politics was kind of like the trigger for potentially ending the relationship. Is that what you're saying?
Correct. There were certain moves he was making politically that really caused me to question him as a man.
What moves are those?
He is someone that portrays himself to be so anti-abortion, yet he has funded several abortions for his own personal gain.
And how do you know that?
I think on this one, you're just going to have to go with my word.
Got it. So a lot of people are going to watch this and they're going to wonder why you're doing this now. And that's really was one of my first questions when when we met, we first talked, why this all began in 2004, and you're stating that it went on for 17 years, but why bring this up now? And have you ever tried contacting him to talk about any of this?
I have. The reason for my wanting to expose this now is because he is no longer in control of influencing only the lives of his friends and family, but he now has the power to influence the lives of so many people, and potentially in a massively negative way. I feel it would be unethical for me to speak up. There was a time that we had had a phone call, and I had expressed a lot of my concerns to him, not only him as a person, but moves that he was making in his career. I was very direct with him, and I said, I feel this is very two-faced. Who are you? You need to be honest. You need to stick to who you are, even if it's not going to advance your career. This caused him, for the first time in 17 years, to become angry with me, understandably.
What happened when he got angry?
He hung up on me.
Was that the last time you all talked?
It was. He not only hung up on me, but he cut every tie of communication we had. The email was shut down. The previous email that we would use as a backup was shut down. The burner phone that he had used with me was disconnected. It was a complete and total shut off. I did, however, send an email to his work email and expressed my disappointment in him and said, you can either come clean or I will come clean for you.
And so sorry, when you say his work email, do you mean his work email, like his business, or do you mean his state government email?
State government email.
So you sent an email to him. Approximately when was this?
It was actually the same evening of this phone call.
So you sent an email to his state government email account about about approximately what year was this?
It was the same evening, so I would have to say, maybe 2019, 2020.
And you sent an email just expressing your frustrations with him?
My frustrations about his lack of ability to accept truth. Of course, this wasn't my first route or my first option.
Mm-hmm.
This was after I realized he had blocked every other source of communication. And in this email, I had reached a point of pure disappointment that I let him know, either you come clean or I will come clean for you.
And when you say come clean, you mean you wanted him to be honest about the relationship that you all had had? No, I was perfectly content always keeping that private. Okay.
I personally have no reason to attack him in any sort of personal manner. This was, in his position, having the ability to affect so many people's lives negatively and to continue the lies to the masses. This is what I was discontent with. I wanted him to stand for what he truly believed, not be another puppeteer, if you want to call it that. But if you are using abortions for your personal gain, if you are using women for your personal gain, why announce to the world that this isn't who you are? This is the same man who took these annual trips to the red light district per his wife's direction.
Sorry, so red light district trips to where?
The red light district.
So, I'm sorry.
Abroad.
Okay, so Amsterdam.
Yes.
Got it. And you saying he would take these trips?
Every year.
Oh, okay. So it's admittingly, it's sounding like this is a little political. It's you're not happy with the way he's portraying himself politically versus how he lives his personal life. Is that accurate?
Correct. And now, while I do believe in keeping your personal life separate from your business life, again, there are a lot of dualities to him, and it makes me suspect and concerned for his moves going forward and how he's going to affect the lives of others. I hate to disrespect his wife or his family in any way, but the woman who stands behind Giovanni Capriglione and says, this is a good man, this is a God-loving father and husband, she's the one sending him to this red light district to fulfill his needs. He goes to the red light district because he wants to know that when he comes back home, there is no fear of running into someone or having his secrets exposed on this territory, his territory.
Do you feel like this is a common sort of behavior with a lot of elected officials?
Unfortunately, yes. I think most are malignant narcissists.
If you had a message that you can give to somebody watching this, what would it be? Or even a message to him?
Go with your instincts. When something feels off, question everything. A message for him, I would say discover who your honest self is, but I'm not sure you've ever known.
Have you tried reaching out to him at all in the past year?
I have.
Now, you obviously, we're going back and forth a little bit. Like you said, you sent an email to a state government email account, but is this separate from that?
So I attempted reaching him on his LinkedIn page. Though I did admittedly panic at the last moment, and I did everything in my power to delete and retract what I had sent.
Were you able to delete it?
On my end, to my knowledge, yes.
Got it.
Yes. More and more people are able to wake up these days and see the pack of lies and how politicians in the majority are corrupt.
So we've had, admittingly, as somebody who's covered a lot of Texas scandals involving politicians and a lot of extramarital affairs, these are becoming pretty commonplace. It almost feels like several times a year at this point. Sometimes involving young girls, sometimes involving lobbyists or even other reps.
Many times involving young girls.
Okay, so sorry, why do you say that?
Well, thanks to social media, and this is, I would say, in part of why I became involved. It has allowed everyone to connect and for the truth to come out in ways that we never thought possible before. Previous to social media, we had the news at 5, and we had newspapers. They dictated what we knew. They dictated what we heard. And now it's becoming, fortunately for us, unfortunately for them, a way to spread the truth, and rapidly.
So you feel like the current age of like social media and independent or local news has allowed people such as yourself to kind of get their message out a little bit more?
Right. And it doesn't stop with the big wig politicians. It is local politicians. It is everyone.
Yeah, as somebody, again, has reported on stuff, it feels like people don't care. A lot of these scandals happen, and you'll either see the group that supports them come out and adamantly defend them, or their colleagues defend them, right? Or these happen, right? And these scandals or these affairs happen, and it's maybe top of the news for a week or two, and then people move on. You've seen this with sex scandals, or you have a local kind of or a national level political activist involved in the schooling and education movement, and he was caught making pornography, and he weathered that for 2 weeks, and he's back in this spot. So what do you anticipate is going to happen after this story becomes public?
Well, you made a really good point there. I think the general public suffers from, lack of better term, Stockholm syndrome. They are willing to take the negative with the positive. And I say it that way because what they're used to seeing is all these positive benefits, whether it's for economic reasons, personal reasons, religious beliefs. So when things are affecting them in such a positive way, they are able to forget all of the negative shots that are fired at them so easily. And I think if people truly understood how deeply and internally corrupt the system is, it would cause a lot of rage. And I think rage is almost what we need at this point to make a change. It can't just start at the top and work its way down. It needs to honestly start from the bottom inside and work its way up.
Alex, thanks for joining me.
Of course. I hate that it's on such unfortunate terms.